Good morning, students. We are nearing the end of our lessons. I have the fortune of giving you the last few. And these last few are pretty easy. They're nice percentages, they're nice things that you guys always ask when we can use this in the real world and when can I do this in the real world? Well, all these are real world obvious lessons. A lot of these are being used in sports. A lot of this stuff is used in data and businesses. So you guys get to stop asking me that finally and see how we use it. All right. So last lesson you guys did mean, median, mode, and range. All right. Today we're going to take it up a notch and do quartiles and standard deviation. All right. I'm going to teach you guys what these words mean, how we use them, and so on and so forth. So first thing I want you guys to do, as always, besides copy down your name and do now, is to do your do now. All right, so you just find the mean, median, mode, and range of the data. So right now you should be pausing it so that you may be able to do the work. All right, while you guys do that, I'll pull up my calculator. All right, so first thing you should always do is make sure you put this in order. All right. So let's put this in order. The way I like to do it is I just find the lowest number, cross it out, and then put it right underneath. All right. So 23 is the lowest number. Right underneath. Next lowest number that I see is 39. Alright, right underneath. Next number after 39 is 48. Then I see 51. Then I see 65. 75. And 92. All right, so I figured out my order there. So now let's add these together and find our mean. That's the first thing we do. So remember to find the mean, which is your average. You add them all up and divide by how many there are. So we're going to do 23 plus 39 plus 48 plus 51 plus 65 plus 75 plus 92. Enter, so we get a total of 393. Now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers. So we take 393 and we divide it by 7. And we get 56.1428. I'm going to just round it to the nearest tenth. Alright? Round to the nearest tenth. And I'm going to say our mean is equal to 56.1. Alright, so I wrote that over here. Down here, our mean is equal to 56.1. Okay? Okay. Next one I'm going to do, because it's the easiest to me, is the mode. Because mode is just looking at which one appears the most, right? So we're looking, all these numbers appear once. There is no number that repeats, so there is no mode. No mode, okay? Range is the next easiest one to do. All right, just because it is. So range is the biggest minus the smallest. So that's 92 minus 23. And you get an answer of 69 for your range. And your last one's your median. Now for the median, the reason I say that last is because I like to cross out my numbers and work my way from the outside in. So I want to say that for last so we're not erasing and stuff, right? So my median, I cancel out the first with the last. Second, second to last. Third, third to last. And I'm left with my middle number of 51. All right, so that's my median. Okay. All right. So let's move on. So that's what we got on tap for today. So today, we're learning some new vocab words. Here are new vocab words. All right, take a pause, write these down. We have median, which is the middle value. You guys know that. Then we're going to have quartiles. All right, so we're going to remember quartile. The root word of quartile is quart, and quarter means you kind of divide everything into 4 sections. Okay. A lot of businesses use this for, like, if you hear for yearly reports, they divide into quartiles. So they talk about the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter. That's some stuff they use in business. Obviously, in sports games, you divide them into quarters or halves or periods or whatever. So these are things that you guys are kind of aware of. This is just the proper name for them. So first thing we have is first quartile, which is essentially just doing the same thing we do for the median, except after we cut it in half. Okay. So the first quartile is the median for the lower half. The third quartile is the median for the upper half. Okay. And these are the different names. And this is really important that you guys realize that they have a bunch of different names. First quartile, lower quartile, Q1. All right. That's pretty important. Third quartile, upper quartile, or Q3. That's pretty important because they're going to, on tests and stuff, they ask with these different words. They'll say, what is the third quartile or what is the value for Q3? So you should know what that is. Next thing, which is going to be labeled as IQR, I'm going to write that underneath. No, didn't want to do that. IQR, which is your interquartile range. That's just the same thing as range, except we're doing it for the quartiles. So we're going to do the third quartile minus the first quartile. That's the only difference. Remember that we said we're separating these in fourths, just so you know. Your second quartile is your median. So I'm going to scroll back up really quick. Your median is also Q2. Sorry about that. That shouldn't have popped up like that. Hold on. Your median is Q2. Okay. And Q4 is your maximum value. Q4 is obviously your total. That's your fourth quartile. And the last thing you need to know is your standard deviation. Standard deviation is a number we get from the calculator that tells us how close to the mean our data values are. So this is the important symbol for it. And I'm going to show you in the calculator how to find your standard deviation and what it kind of means. All right, so I'll explain that as we go along. All right. So if you haven't paused on any of this, make sure you pause so you get all the things you need, okay? Okay. So we're going to come back to this. This is how we use the quartile to help us find our standard deviation, our mean, different, our Q1, our Q3, different things like that. So we're going to go to our example. We're going to find it by hand first. Then I'm going to show you guys how to do it in the calculator, okay? All right, here's our first example. So the heights in inches of 10 high school lacrosse players are 78, 79, 79, 72, 75, 71, 74, 74, 83, and 71. Determine the first quartile, the third quartile, the interquartile range, and the standard deviation. So right now we're going to find the first quartile, the third quartile, and the interquartile range, okay? And then the standard deviation we're going to find in the calculator afterwards, all right? So, first thing we always have to do is get these in order, okay? So, sorry about that. Let me fix that. First one I see is a 71. I see another 71. Next one I see is a 72. Then I see two 74s. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Just you guys know my technical difficulties. And then we got 75. Then we have 78. Two 79s. And an 83. All right. All right. So, in order to determine the first quartile, we have to figure out what the median is first. Because remember, we had to cut this list in half. Remember what we said for Q1 and Q3. First quartile of Q1 is the median for the lower half, and third quartile is the median for the upper half. In order to figure out what the halves are, we gotta figure out our median and then cut this list in half. Okay. Now, depending on where your median is, it depends where you cut the list. Okay. So let's look for a median right now. I can't cross these out because I don't want to erase them. So I'm gonna just put little dots overhead in red, just to symbolize that I am canceling out. Okay. So 71 and 83. And 71 and 79. And 79 and 72. And 74 and 78. So that leaves us with 74 and 75, which means we have to average to find our median. Okay? So the average of 74 plus 75 divided by 2 is 74.5. All right? So now I'm going to erase these dots just so they don't confuse you later. I'm going to leave that red line up just to remind you guys that that's our halfway point, all right? That's our median. So that's our middle point right here. This is our middle right here, okay? So when I cut the list in half, I don't include the median. So my lower half goes from 71 to 74. My upper half goes from 75 to 83. All right, so that's how you cut a list in half. You find your median, all right, and then you cut the list in half from there. You don't include your median in the list, okay? All right, so now we gotta find the median of each half, and that's gonna be our Q1 and our Q3. So this is our median, don't forget. All right, now let's find the median of each half. 71 cancels out with 74. 71 cancels out with 74. So 72 is our Q1. 75 cancels out with 83. 78 cancels out with 79. So 79 is our Q3. Remember, we had two 79s, all right? So 79 is our Q3. So you found the Q1 and the Q3. And now what you gotta do is your interquartile range, which is just 79 minus 72, which is equal to 7. So 7 is what we call our IQR, our interquartile range. Okay? All right. So pretty easy stuff. Just finding the middles, really barely any math you have to do. All right. Now let's do even less work by just showing you how to do it in the calculator. So I'm going to go back here, show you guys the steps. You guys should still have the list, so make sure that you guys have your list written down. Actually, if you guys give me 1 second, I'm going to write the list down on the side here, just so I don't have to keep flipping back and forth. Okay, so let's follow our steps here. Now, this a little smaller. Okay, so step 1 says to click the stat button. So if our stat button's right here, right next to the left arrow, stat button. All right. So this is what you should see on your screen right now, right here. Okay. Step 2 says choose one edit. So that's one edit. You can either press the number 1 or press enter, whichever one you want. Doesn't matter. Step 3 says type the values into L1. So that's all the values you just saw previously on the previous slide, right? All these values right there. So type those into L1. Order does not matter, so you don't have to type them in order. So 78, enter. 79, enter. And you have to make sure you press the enter button. 79 again, enter. And be careful. You guys have to make sure, after you put them all in, double check to make sure you put all the numbers right. Because if one number is wrong, your whole thing is wrong, and you don't want that, right? 75, 71, enter. 74, 74, 83, 71. Okay, I got 10 numbers. They're all right. Okay, cool. Now, after I type the values into L1, I press stat again. Okay. Step 5 says use the right arrow to go over to calc. So that means up here where you see edit in black, in a black box, you want to go on to calc. So press the right arrow. Now you're on calc. Step 6 says choose one, which is a one variable stat. So that's when we just type in one thing, which is L1. So I chose that. All right. L1 should be next to list already, so that's fine. Press enter, and press enter. Now, you see a few things up here. First thing I want you to draw your attention to is scroll down. Scroll all the way down. All right. Your minimum value is 71. Your Q1, which we just found before. Hold on, give me 1 second. Your Q1 is 72. Your median, right here, 74.5, which we just said right here. Your Q3, 79. It doesn't do IQR for you, so you do have to do IQR on your own. Now, if you scroll back up, you should see a little symbol right here that says standard deviation. Remember the standard deviation symbol? Let me go back to the mini lesson. Remember this symbol right here? Here it is. Okay? And this says your standard deviation is 3.8. So if we go back to the question we were doing, the last thing we would put into our question would be the symbol. Draw it as best as you can. 3.8. It always looked like an R to me. So if you draw like a little loopy R, you'd probably get it right. All right? And that's what that means right there. That's what that is, your standard deviation. And your standard deviation just tells you kind of the average to get to the next thing. For example, if we're talking about right here, the inches of 10 high school lacrosse players, that's saying that if my median is 74.5, my next standard deviation is 3.8 inches away. So like the next average thing is going to be like about 3.8 inches away, which is fairly around 72. You know what I mean? So pretty accurate stuff. All right. So the next question. So the following is a list of individual points scored by each of the 12 members of the Webster High School basketball team. Find the first quartile, third quartile, interquartile range, and standard deviation. So now that I showed it to you on the calculator, I don't expect you to do it by hand anymore, which is fine. When you do the classwork later, please explain with words how you did, how you found quartile 1 and quartile 3. All right, don't just say I used the calculator because I'm not going to count that as credit. All right, so here we go using the calculator. We're going to go to Stat, Edit. Now to clear the whole list, press the up arrow to L1 and press Clear, and then press Enter, and then the whole list gets cleared. All right, you have to make sure that L1 is in black; it's highlighted. Press Clear, press Enter, and then everything gets cleared, and then you just type in this whole list. All right, so we got 2, 2. Make sure you double check everything. Make sure you know what you did. All right. Now press Stat. Go one over to Calc. Press Enter, 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 Enter. And let's write down our answers. So, standard deviation, round to the nearest tenth, is going to be, look right here, right there, 4.1. Now let's scroll down to get our quartiles. Quartile 1 is equal to 3. Your median or quartile 2 would be 9. Quartile 3 is 12. And your IQR, your interquartile range, is 12 minus 3, which is 9. All right, it's Q1 minus Q3, which is 9. Please don't forget, and the reason I keep mentioning median and quartile 2 is because you will be asked, what is quartile 2? What is the median? And it does show it there, so I just want you guys to remember that, okay? All right. This one, we just had to find the standard deviation. We don't even have to find the other stuff, which is great. And it's telling us what to round it to, round to the nearest hundredth, okay, which is 2 spots after the decimal. So let's go back to our calculator, go to Stat, go to Edit, highlight L1, Clear, Enter. And let's type in these numbers now, all right? So these are the numbers. I'm going to see if I can do something here. Hold on. Excellent. Okay. So 100, 99, 99. All right, you should have 10 test scores. All right. Now, Stat, go over to Calc, Enter, 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 Enter. And your standard deviation, round to the nearest hundredth, is going to be 2.72. Sorry about that. 1 second. I'm not sure why it's not popping up right now. It will pop up probably in a second. Just give it a second. All right, but 2.72, that's right up here. Okay? And that's what I want you guys to pay attention to is right here. The 2.72 right here. That's your standard deviation. Alright? Let's go to the next slide. Alright, now here. This is a little bit different. Okay? This one's comparing. So you guys see what your Q1s and interquartile ranges are for each list, and then compare them. All right, luckily we have the calculator, so it won't take that much work. It says Christopher looked at his quiz scores shown below for the first and second semester of his algebra classes. So this is semester 1, semester 2. Which statements correct about Christopher's performance is correct? Now, before we get all crazy writing down everything, let's see what they're asking us for. So question 1 is asking us for the interquartile range. Choice 2 says the median score. Choice 3 says the mean score. And choice 4 says the third quartile. Now, one other thing that I didn't mention before is that the mean is also here. This symbol up here, let me go back one actually. This symbol right here, that's your mean, okay? The line over the x, that's your mean score. So when we do this problem, we don't have to find our mean. We don't do it by hand. It's in here also. All right. Luckily, everything is here. We just have to write it all down. All right. So let's look at semester 1 first. So let's go stat, edit, clear, enter. So it's 78, a 91, 88, 83, 94. Oh, these are great test scores. Geez, I wish Allison would get these kind of test scores. Anyway, so we go stat, go calc, one variable stats. Enter, 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 calculate. All right, so sorry. So for the interquartile range of semester 1, we had 92.5 and we have 80.5. So the IQR is going to be my screen isn't working. Great. So I'm going to have to say all this to you guys. I'm sorry about that. My IQR is going to be 12 for semester 1. All right. So I'm going to write here because my screen isn't working, so I'm going to have to use my laptop, and it's going to be very bad, so I apologize. So 12 is the IQR for semester 1. Okay. The median score for semester 1, our median is 88. Oh man, that's going to suck. It's going to be 80. Oh, that's not bad. Look how good I am, guys. 88. Okay. The mean, remember, so we have to go back up now. The mean is the X with the dash. The mean score is going to be 86.8. Remember, this is all for semester 1 right now. And the third quartile for semester 1 is 92.5. Oh yeah, that's how good I am. Alright, we gotta move this one down a little bit because that's semester 1. Okay, so we found all the numbers for semester 1. Now let's look at semester 2's grade. So go stat, clear out L1, and let's type in semester 2. So we have a 91, 96, 80, 77, 88, 85, and a 92. Oh, no, see? I wasn't paying attention, guys. You see what I did? I gotta do it all over again. 91, enter. 96, enter. 80, 77. I made a Holly mistake, man. That's crazy. 88, 85, and 92. All right. Now let's go to stat, calc, enter, enter, enter. All right. Now let's compare these numbers. So now the IQR, or actually let's start with the mean up here. Mean 87. Mean score is an 87. Let's scroll down now. Interquartile range, what's 92 minus 80? 92 minus 80 is a 12. Median score, 88. And the third quartile score is 92. All right, so let's compare these numbers now. For question 1, they both have 12 as an IQR. 12 is not greater than 12, so question 1 cannot be it. Question 2, they both have a score of 88 as their median. 88 is not greater than 88, so question 2 cannot be it. Question 3, 87 is definitely bigger than 86.8, so question 3 is our answer. And for question 4, 92 is not bigger than 92.5. All right, so that's how you do that. All right, so here is your guide notes. You have more questions, so don't pause yet. Make sure you get all of them. All right, you have about 6 questions, so make sure you get them all. So here's your first 2. I don't believe there's anything else. Here's your next 2. And here's your last 2. Or the last one, sorry. Last one. All right, guys. Have a great day. Miss you guys. Look forward to seeing you guys. Bye-bye.